sadly enough, it was about 3 years ago when I was leaving my partner of 20 years and from Florida, and she and her grandson Jackson flew to Florida. We rented a new U-Haul and we drove from Florida to New Jersey, but not just Florida to New Jersey. We stopped in Washington. We had a really nice, fun time. But the best part of it was she packed the U-Haul. Like, I know she left stuff at the house that I wanted to take, and now I'm glad she didn't, because it was sad stuff that would have made me sad. And we listened to music going out of Florida, motivational music, so that I would keep going and not cry and turn around. And that was probably one of the nicest things she's ever done for me. That was hard for her because it was coming off of her Bill's Wendy. She drove to Wisconsin, flew to Wisconsin, and drove Wendy back two weeks before that. So two of us were leaving our partners of 20 years, and Christine was who got us back home. How wonderful is that? That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say about that, Forrest.
Oh, geez. Probably she was really, really with me through my whole stint there right before I went into rehab. And she, I guess the nicest thing she's ever done for me is just being there.
Time that your Aunt Chris has helped you out?
Endless times. But back when I was in college, it definitely helped having her close to West Palm and where I was in Orlando. And I definitely needed her for emotional support, at least throughout that experience. So I'm forever grateful for that.
There was a time, right when my first marriage was ending, that both Teeney and Bill were incredibly wonderful and supportive and took very good care of me, because I was sort of a basket case. But Chris had been through things like this before, and she was very supportive and very good to me. And your father also played a very significant part in that healing, because he and I would hang out together when Chris and Bill had to go places, and he was really great too.
Not a time, but Teeney helps me out every day. Just thinking about her as a role model and things that she's done since the day I met her that have made me a better person and made me more thoughtful. She's, in any specific instance, for example, when Jackson was born, Kevin needed to get back to work, and she would drive every day from Palm Beach to pick up Jackson and take care of him so that we could both work. And that alone would be something that most grandparents, especially step-grandparents, wouldn't even think about doing. But she took the time and invested in the family and in her grandchildren and in her children.
As I said to you yesterday when your phone wasn't working, Teeney has always helped me through all my moments of minor despair because my life has been so good. But the truth of the matter is, Jackson, that the mere fact that she brings so much joy to my life keeps me happy and really with little need for any assistance to make my life wonderful.
Thank you. And Teeney helped you out?
So, she has helped me out multiple times throughout my life. My wedding, my rehearsal dinner, John. All through after he died. She's always been there for us. So, she's awesome.
Which your Aunt Chris has helped you out in your life?
Aunt Chris has helped me out many times in my life. On many occasions, she's helped me tremendously with school and with very important decisions. And at any time I was in a crisis, she's certainly a voice of reason.
Just stay up for stuff.
That Chris helped you out the most?
Well, there's so many times I don't think I can count. She's always been there for us every time we needed her. Every single time, so I really can't think of one time.
Teeney's helped you out.
That kind of defines Teeney and her relationship with people that she cares about, her family and her close friends. And she's helped me out with you guys when I worked when you were a baby. And she helped me out with Betsy when she was dying. She took care of you guys. And she's a really good person and has always been there to help out even when she wasn't asked. She knew.
Teeney's helped you out in your life with.
She helps us out. Oh, she's always positive when we have problems or difficulties dealing with things like our parents' death and stuff like that. So she's always helped us out.
I was just kind of thinking on a lighter note that I think Chris felt she could do anything she set her mind to. And when you went to Vietnam, she was determined that they were going to end the war and the soldiers were going to come home. So you finished that story. What did she do?
Oh, she left South London Regional High School, which was 4 miles away from town, and she walked with a group of other people, walked all the way.
In a protest.
In a protest. And I'm sure she was protesting the war, not the people fighting it. So.
The time when Aunt Chris helped you out.
She helped me out in college, actually. She helped me get to do college, to get to go to college. She helped pay for some of my college, so yeah, she helped me out then.
Chris helped you out.
Well, I think we supported each other through life's casualties. I say casualties, that's not the right word. Through deaths of our parents and stuff like that, that we communicated with each other, got closer, and I think as a family that's extremely important. I say casualties, not the right word.
She helped me out by marrying Bill, who liked to play golf, so I could go play golf with Bill.
Yes, that's true. She did help you out there. You and Bill are buddies. So.
Just kidding. No, she helped us out a lot. A lot of times we go down to Florida, and she let us stay with them. And was a gracious host. And,
hostess.
It was nice to be there.
Time when you feel Chris helped you out.
Oh, goodness. Well, Chris always helps me out when it comes to health. She used to make me walk with her, and boy, when I say walk, I mean like a 9 miles an hour walk on the towpath to keep healthy, which was really fun because it would be good time spent just chatting with Chris. And just recently I found out I had the same thing that Chris had, and we would always compare notes, and she would be very supportive and tell me some things that would work to make me feel better. So she's helped me out in that regard.
Say?
I think she's always she's got a good person, good heart, good morals, good hard worker. She always hears stories about Nat saying how hard she worked when she was younger, and I think she's got that, and she's a good person. She should be a good person.
Chris, that you would like to share?
She is one of the best people I know, honestly. I would love to be like her, because she seems like she can really talk to so many different kinds of people and help so many different kinds of people. And I think being in the position she's in, turning around and doing more help than anything else is probably the best trait about her, is helping everyone around her with whatever they need.
Positive traits about Teeney.
She is just so understanding. You can say anything to her or ask her any question, and she's always so supportive, you know? And you always feel like you're her best friend, you know? So yeah, she's just been a wonderful person.
About Chris that you would like to share.
Positive traits. I don't know. She don't have a lot of positive traits.
She's a very strong woman. She's a very dedicated person.
Yep.
Her and I have been friends since I was 15 years old. And no, she has a lot of positive traits.
Very loyal. She helps people. See, Ray.
Bye, honey. No, she's a great person, and she has a lot of positive traits about her.
A lot of charitable works and stuff, so that's very positive.
I think a good trait of Chris is that, I don't know if she had to pry Bill or not, but I'm pretty sure that both of them wanted to. But wherever I worked, San Francisco, Lawrenceville, Rhode Island, wherever I worked, they would always come and visit me in whatever state I was in to see the restaurant that I worked in, because I think they were just always traveling for one, and very cool and supportive.
And hungry.
And hungry, yes, liked good food. And I appreciated it because it you know, they're such cool people, and they always made me feel like they supported my career. So
People should know about.
Just the positive ones, right? She has a great sense of humor. Yes. As long as we're laughing at other people. When it comes to her, not so much. She likes to laugh at me. Her cousin Sue, we grew up together. We were always close. Well, actually, we weren't so close. Really, seriously. Not very close at all. So, that's sad too. As a matter of fact, lots of the stuff I think about when I think about Chris is sad. Really sad. Yeah.
Traits about Teeney.
Obviously, the first one that comes to my mind is she is extremely caring and extremely giving. She was the heart and soul of her family, always taking care of me, always taking care of everybody. You know, she's just that type of person who always needs to make sure that everybody has everything that they need.
Chris.
She's energetic.
Oh, absolutely.
She gets the
whatever
job done, whatever.
Whatever she sets her mind out to do, she does. She's accomplished a lot of things in her life. What else? She's just an all-around good person, let me tell you.
Thinks of others.
Yes, she does. Does a lot for others.
Positive traits about Teeney. It's not difficult. Like I said, she's very giving, charitable. She always thinks with her heart. She's loving, and she's got a good sense of humor. And there you go.
Hi, Gabe.
Okay, Gabe, you can sit with me. You can come. He can sit with me.
Oh, she's a very good friend, a very good family member. She would do anything for any of us, day or night. We know we can count on her if we ever need anybody for anything. And
Traits about your Aunt Chris.
Well, I think Chris is like the Oprah of the family. Which is a good thing, because everybody needs a little Oprah to bring the family together and to resolve issues and to give out great gifts. So I think if she's Oprah, that makes Uncle Bill Stedman.
Teeney's best traits.
She, as I said to you yesterday, Jackson, when your phone wasn't working because you were throwing it into the swimming pool. Teeney's best trait is that she's crazy and she will do anything. And the anything is anything that helps other people. Her heart is huge, and she is willing to share it and everything she has with others. And that's her best trait.
What do you think are Teeney's best traits?
Her absolute loyalty and her ability to give love.
Qualities.
I don't know. I think she's caring, and I think she's really concerned. She really does care about helping people or how people feel, and so I guess caring would be her best quality.
Teeney's best traits.
Okay, I would say humility. She's very humble. She never brags about herself. Generosity. She's kind. And she can be funny sometimes. But I would say that would be those. Most of what makes her Chris.
For me, growing up as a kid, Aunt Chris coming over was always like, meant a very fun activity was going to happen or something sort of superfluous or just kind of crazy. So when we were 15, when I was 15 and Stephanie was 14, they flew us down to Florida. We had an awesome time in Disneyland, Disney World. You can edit. So we were in Disney World. The park was closed. It was just like a very few number of people. Then we went back to, I think it was Melbourne at that point. But the entire vacation was just sort of centered around this idea of like freedom and this newfound liberty when, as you're 15 years old, like sort of insane to sort of rationalize. And that was the first time when I was growing up that I can remember feeling sort of like liberated and growing older. And so I would say that my experiences with Aunt Chris and Uncle Bill have always been to that vein of like just something going to be extraordinarily fun and something that's going to result in something that you never realized that you were going to find out about yourself. So that would be my story.
About Chris?
Sure. I'll tell you, she came to visit me when I was in college, my freshman year, and we went out, we had a good time, we had dinner, we went to the grocery store, and before we left the grocery store, she bought me beer for me and my roommates. So that was fun. Me and my roommates enjoyed that, being that we were not 21.
You'd like to share about your Aunt Chris?
One of my favorite stories would be when I went swimming with the dolphins at Discovery Cove, probably back in like 2003 or something. And she was on the beach watching, and I was in a pool with what I thought was a bunch of animals that were in the same pool as me. But they were behind glass. But when I popped my head out of the water, I heard her screaming, "It's on your ass." And I thought the barracuda was coming up to bite my ass. So I swam to shore without probably taking another breath, just to find out that it was behind glass. And she laughed the whole time. So that was fun. That was a good time.
Another story I remember of Chris is my rehearsal dinner. They had an artist sketching everybody's pictures, and they put a wonderful spread as always. And of course the Slack brothers threw John in the pool. And then I had so much wine, I jumped in right after him. And Chris was so kind. I'm like, Chris, what do I do? So she, of course, dried my dress and got me together so I could rejoin the party. But she was always there for us.
We're friends. When I started dating Dennis when I was like 15 years old, and her and I went to a drive-in movie together, and we were just going to a drive-in, and all of a sudden the drive-in was surrounded with police officers, and they busted people who had marijuana there right next to my car, and it was Christine's father, Jim Rosso, that was there. He said, oh my God, how freaking scary was that?
Of course, Christine and Joyce were not smoking any marijuana. They just
It was very innocent, but it was funny as hell later. Her father was so pissed off, but we didn't do anything, you know. We should have, but we didn't.
Well, I would say fun for her, and she would, when I was young, I think I was 2 or 3, she would be in charge of babysitting me, and my mother told me that she would bring me to the park because I was such a cute baby, and that would allow her to pick up men. So I was like bait for her dates.
Dad, you want to tell him?
Yes.
All right.
It's very sad, actually. I was shocked when I found out about it. My daughter was maybe 8 or 9 months old. I had hired Christine to babysit several times for me during the day while I was working. Do you want to know what she did with my daughter?
What?
She took her to places where there were boys to see if the kid would help attract boys. It was, when I found out about it, honestly, Graham, I was so disappointed in her. Really disappointed in her. My daughter was a young, innocent baby. She was being used as a lure for Christine to get boyfriends. Is there anything else you want to know about it?
My stories always revolve around vacation in Florida, going out to dinner. Anytime my parents and I were in Florida, I remember being with you guys and Meme and we stayed in a hotel, and I cracked your mom up about how we eat 7 spiders a year, and I thought they were gonna eat their pants. So yeah, most of my memories revolve around all the vacations we've taken in Florida and being at your house. The time Devin hooked with the fishing line. I even think there was like a crazy raccoon on the porch. So those are some of the great memories.
Go.
So there's always funny stories about it. Chris usually calls me for advice when it comes to being stopped or getting out of tickets. And I know she's used my name a few times, which I'm glad she does, to keep her out of her heavy foot that she has with the speeding tickets.
Apparently she gets in trouble a lot.
But she's always been wonderful to me, especially going through bad times. When I had questions about medical things, she was helping me out. She was there to listen to me and give advice, and it was very helpful for a tough time in life.
I remember the first time I met you and Chris. It was at a Trans Thunder game, and she crawled over a whole row of people to come and meet me, and she gave me the biggest compliment ever, and she said I look just like my Aunt Margot.
Which is so good. There's a relation between Chris,
Yes.
our family, the Rosso family, and her family. So
Sidekick for all those years. One thing, and it's everybody will realize this is Chris. Chris and I, well, we grew up together. We were in school together, but we worked at Smutzy's, which is now Snedden's, the chocolate shop, together for I guess a summer. And Harry Smuts was the owner. And Chris, one day he asked Chris to go get cups or refill the cups or whatever it was, and she said, well, where are they? He said, in the basement. And she said, I don't I don't know where the basement is. And they got into this fight because, or back and forth with us. She goes, "You're lucky I even, I don't even know where the basement is. You're lucky that I can do, you know, what I do around here or whatever." But she was so funny because,
How old were you then?
so we were like freshmen in high school, so we were like 15 years old.
So she was even feisty then.
So what I'm saying is, doesn't that kind of sound like her, like saying, what the heck, you know? But now we're the same age. We're cousins, but I would hope and think that we would have been friends even if we hadn't been related or whatever. So we went through grammar school and high school, and then when she moved to Florida, I was down there several times. In fact, your father's Scott, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That when they were, Scott and Wendy were younger, there was times when I was down there, and we actually went out on a boat. And I did some things with your dad or with Scott and Wendy. So we've shared a lot of things, and I'll think about something else. Maybe Kath can say something probably about the homestead.
I was the middle sister, but got married first. So I was off to nursing school at 17, and you guys were still in high school. So I have more recollection of Chris when we were younger, and some of our favorite times were always Christmas, because we went to her house, and they always had their tree on top of a train, plywood that had all the trains on there, and I always thought that was so cool. And we always had such fun at their house. We were free to explore and had a lot of fun with our dolls, and it was great. Her parents, our aunt and uncle, just can't say enough about who they were. So Chris has a lot of her parents' traits, I would say. She's loyal and committed. She serves. She's a great servant. Gets us together, like today.
Well, I'm a lot older than Christine, so I don't remember too many things as we were in our 20s or 30s, but I do remember stories, and I saw her at Mary Kay when I frequented the Lambertville house when Aunt Mimi was part of that, and they were maids, Christine and Mary Kay. I guess they were maids, and they would be running around the upstairs and sometimes sitting on the top steps and laughing and carrying on instead of doing their work. But as Kath said, I remember growing up and being in Aunt Mimi and Uncle Jimmy's house, and it was so much fun. And going down the creek, and I was pretty timid about that. I mean, Mary Kay would go charging in, the rest of the kids. Christine had allergies, so I know that she didn't. Yeah, she didn't get. She didn't do too much out in the creek either. But we had great times, great memories there, and Christine continues to help those memories go on with the things that she's doing. And she is a giver. She's very generous, and not just to her family, but to people in need. So happy birthday, Chris. We love you.
Let's see, starting from the day I met Teeney was a funny story. The very first thing that entered the room was maybe would be considered one of her smaller traits, would be her boobs. She came in out of a rainstorm wearing a white shirt, and she was soaking wet from head to toe. And as you all know, Teeney doesn't like to wear bras. And as I guess I was 13 maybe, 13 or 14, I was very impressed by that. And so that would be a funny Teeney story.
Christine is a great, accomplished a lot of things in her life, and she's made us all very proud. But one of the things she never accomplished was when she was a young child, 4 or 5 years old, she actually tried to fly like Peter Pan, and she dove off the bed, hit the radiator, got a couple stitches in her head, and to this day I believe she still has the stitches. So of all the things she's accomplished, she has not learned how to fly yet. And if she does, I would certainly like to see it. How about you?
Okay.
My funny story is that Norb was out at a bar or dancing establishment, and someone saw him the next day and said, "Why were you dancing with your sister?" And it wasn't his sister at all, but me.
They thought it was Christine.
So I thought that was quite a compliment.
Tell us a story about Teeney.
Well, when I think of Teeney, I think of Teeney giving and doing things for everyone. And one of the best things that she's done many things, and a lot of them involve you guys, but one of the best things that she's done is take all of our photos that I had in drawers and boxes and put them into these beautiful photo albums in chronological order, which is my nightmare, but she made it seem simple, and we'll love them for always.
Christine is, she had PJ, and she had taken him to swim with the stingrays, and she was watching him, and PJ was in there, and PJ looked very panicked, and Christine was trying to explain to PJ that they were behind the glass, and PJ thought she was saying they're on your ass, so PJ was freaking out, and Christine was laughing, but it turned out fine.
This is an unbelievable story. It's unbelievable, and it shows how crazy Teeney is and how she is to be feared. There were 3 thugs harassing our residents at Adopt a Family, and as you know, most of these residents are single moms, and many of them have been subject to abuse. So this was a terrifying thing, and we tried the police, who came, and nobody could get anything done. And Christine drove into the parking lot one day at Adopt a Family, and there they were, sitting on the curb with 3 thugs, and she'd had enough. She got out of her car, rolled up her sleeves, and walked over to them, and gave them such a tongue lashing, and struck the fear of God into them. They never came back again. And those of us who know and love Teeney have had that happen to them as well.
And she really bought a very impractical car. She bought a little Fiat convertible, and it was a Standard, and she really didn't know how to drive a Standard. So it was very amusing to see her drive in the very beginning. But it was a great little car, and it was a convertible, and it really suited her personality.
Thank you.
All right, love you, Aunt Chris. Happy birthday.
Really?
Love you, Aunt Chris. Love you, Aunt Chris. Happy birthday.
I love you, Chris. Thanks for everything.
Say, I love you, Chris.
I love you, Chris.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Chris. We love you.
I love you, Chris.
I love you, Chris. Happy birthday.
That was very sweet.
Happy 60th birthday, Aunt Chris.
We love you.
Wish you many more.
Love you, Chris. Happy birthday.
I love you, Teeney.
Love you, Aunt Chris.
Hey, Chris, happy 60th.
We love you.
I love you, Chris.
I love you, Chris.
I love you, Aunt Chris.
I love you.
Love you, Teeney.
I love you, Chrissy.
I love you, Chris.
I love you, Aunt Chris.
Thank